How's it going, guys? Tommy from Worst Witch 1000. Today is December 12th, 2020, and today we're going to focus on the potential nor'easter that could happen in the United States. As a matter of fact, we could see two northeast snowstorms within the next week, and we'll also talk about the Midwest snowstorm that's currently impacting Michigan, Wisconsin, and even Iowa. So let's first start with this potential nor'easter, the big one, I should say, that will happen later during the week, Thursday, right around the Wednesday to Thursday time frame. And you could see, compare this to yesterday's run of the GFS. You see that the GFS is now in this run is a lot more lenient and not only bringing snow all across the Northeast and even the coastal regions of the Northeast, such as Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. It's also bringing even heavier snow and heavier snowfall rates, as you could see, because you see the darker blues, and darker blues represent very heavy snow and very heavy snowfall rates. Compare this last run where, let's see the previous run, you see that the snow isn't as heavy, it isn't falling as fast as today's run, and you could see that the GFS hasn't really shifted its forecast much from yesterday. It's only now bringing a stronger storm, which would enhance the chance of having even bigger impacts and a bigger snowstorm all across the Northeast. So it's suddenly something to keep in watch. And I've also noticed that the European model is now also leaning towards a trend of bringing an even stronger storm just off the coast of the Northeast, which could be a potential game changer when it comes to snowfall checks. And oh, this is the first time I saw this run because so the last run I was mentioning, the European model had 991 millibar low pressure system just off the coast of New Jersey, and that would have been enough to bring heavy snow all throughout the interior Northeast and even maybe the coastal I-95 cities. How, even though it's less likely, it still was a pretty powerful storm. But now the European has slightly shifted its track. I'm just first seeing this. I didn't see this model before, this new run before. So this is the first time both of us are seeing this. And you see that the European model is now taking more of a track offshore, just off the coast of New England, and it's taking more of an offshore track than before. And what that means is that, for one thing, is that it's more likely to be weaker in this scenario because the jet stream is more likely to be straightened out, and there's going to be less instability. There's going to be less of that cold air dip that would enhance the strength of the storm. And what that also means is that there's more likely a chance to see heavier snow across the I-95 cities such as New York City, Boston, and even extending to Philadelphia, since we're more likely to see snow in those cities, since the low pressure where all the heat is converging at will be further offshore. So a lot of heat won't really make its way onto the cities, or not enough heat will make its way onto the cities to really change that snow into rain. So it enhances the chance of snow across coastal cities. However, there could also be that possibility that it really reduces the amount of snow the Northeast experiences, because obviously as it goes more offshore, you're more likely to miss out on more of the impacts across the Northeast, since obviously all the weather, all the precipitation circulates around the low pressure system. If that's more offshore, you might miss out on a lot of the precipitation, and especially the interior Northeast, which I think in this scenario would almost completely miss out on snow. However, there's still that possibility that the coastal regions of New England and the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic experience snow from this, even if the European is taking this track more offshore. However, we're still far from certain of which run is correct, because the GFS is taking a much more closer to coast track and bringing a lot more snow pretty much all throughout the Northeast, while the European is now leaning more towards an offshore track, which would make the Northeast miss out on a lot of the snow. So what will determine this track is really how this Canadian high really plays out in over the next several days. Because if this Canadian high um is a little bit stronger, I should say, and pushes this storm a little bit further south, and then it's more likely to move in a westerly direction. However, if this high pressure moves more towards this direction, and when we see a little bit more of a jet stream dip, it's possible that uh we could see just enough of a dip to where we see more of a southerly wind component, and as a result, the storm will move closer to the coast. As a result, since the jet stream winds will face this way rather than this direction, so we have to see how this plays out, how this Canadian high plays out, because if it stays just a bit to the north where it doesn't bring a large where or just enough south to where it forces a low pressure system to not move north, then we're more likely to see it say offshore. But if it's a little bit more north and it doesn't really slow this thing down, then we're more likely to see track more northward, impacting the northeast. So we definitely need to keep in watch of these scenarios and how this high pressure plays out over the next several days. So let's see a what if forecast of what if the GFS model was correct in its scenario. So if the GFS model were correct in its forecast, again, this is assuming that the snow liquid ratio is 1 to 10 inches. You see that the GFS is bringing almost up to a foot all throughout the I-95 corridor, with with central to southern New Jersey getting impacted most as well. And also northwest of Washington, D.C. could get in some of the impacts, and this extends to New England. Boston could experience heavy snow, and you see just a broad area of just heavy snow, and this would be a major snowstorm for all Northeast if the GFS model plays out. Even if it isn't exact, if the low pressure just stays close enough to the coast and we see just enough precipitation and it's strong enough, then it's likely we'll see very similar impacts to what the GFS model is saying. However, we're still uncertain because especially now, since the European is now leaning more towards an offshore track, which definitely makes the forecast a little bit more uncertain now than just recently, since both the European and GFS just recently are pretty close together. But now the European is now diverting from its original track, so it makes it a little bit more uncertain what could happen. However, I could say with confidence that there will be some sort of low pressure system that will move up the northeast. Whether that stays offshore or onshore is the biggest question we all wish we could answer, because that would make a huge difference in terms of what impacts we'll see. But unfortunately, computer model forecasting isn't up to that level just yet. So the best we could say is that a low pressure system will move up the east coast and potentially bring snow across the northeast, and could potentially be major if the right trajectory plays out. So the northeast definitely should at least be watching this, because this could be a significant snowstorm going into the middle of the week when a lot of you guys are working, and it could be trouble because now a lot more people are working from home, obviously online. So with a big snowstorm, that could bring a lot of power outages, especially if this storm gets really strong to bring some gusty winds. So we have to just wait and see what happens with this forecast over the next several days. So I want to show you guys before I move on to the Midwest snowstorm that's currently impacting the northern Great Lakes region. I want to show you guys the geopotential height anomaly, because it gives a good idea of what will determine the track of this storm over the next several days. Because you see, this is the low pressure should be right around here. There's that dip in the jet stream. There's that trough moving through, and it begins to strengthen, and then you see that there's a ridge right here, a Bermuda ridge, that will determine how far north this goes. And like I said, if that jet stream dip is stronger, we're more likely to see this go up north. However, if it's weaker, then the opposite will occur. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to watch what happens over the next several days, and that's definitely something we need to watch. So moving on to the Midwest snowstorm that's currently impacting the Midwest. Let me show you guys the current radar. So this is as of 3 a.m. Saturday Eastern Standard Time. I do these videos very late and I need to stop that, but that's besides the point. So um wait just 1 second. I need to get back to the United States. All right, there we go. So here's a radar. You see a lot of snow. In northern Michigan, and we're starting to see the first bouts of snow in Milwaukee, and we're seeing a pretty heavy band of snow right over Des Moines, and this is heavier than I expected. So in Iowa, you should expect a little bit more snow, or on the upper spectrum of the forecasts in terms of snowfall accumulation, because it seems like this band was higher than a lot of forecast models anticipated. A lot of forecast models mainly predicted light to heavy snow, light to moderate snow. However, we're seeing more of those darker blue bands, which represent more heavier snow. So this could be more of a snowfall threat for a lot of you guys in Iowa. And then moving on more eastward, you see the snow is first starting in Milwaukee. It wasn't like that before. Milwaukee for a lot of the time was under the rain, but now it transitioned into snow, and that's a little bit of a worry because that could that could bring problems such as black ice on the roads, and black ice is really not non-visible invisible to the human eye, especially at nighttime. So it's just going to be hard to see black ice on the road. So definitely watch out, because even if the snowfall didn't necessarily accumulate yet in Milwaukee, do not underestimate the potential for black ice, because it rained for a good amount in Milwaukee, and then now transitioned to snow and to sub-freezing temperatures. So black ice could be an issue for a lot of those places who first start at rain and will transition into snow. And you see that the snow extends Michigan, where you're seeing moderate to heavy snow at times, and Chicago is deep in the rain. Unlikely to see snow from this scenario unless a huge shift in the low pressure trajectory changes. However, that's unlikely at this point. And let's take a look at the future radar to see how things will play out over the next several hours in northern Michigan, in northern Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa, since it could be a very dangerous storm for a lot of you guys, and it'll give you a good idea of when to go out or not to go out. So this as of 4 a.m. in northern Michigan. If you're not already just staying home, I recommend you do so right now, because you're deep in the snow band already, in the heavy snow. So watch, and then by 6 and 7 a.m., you think the snow is heavy right now, but it's only going to get heavier going into 7 a.m. And then throughout the morning, you're just going to get pounded by snow throughout northern Michigan. That snow extends to Milwaukee, and Iowa will be in the snow till, I would say, noontime. And then you see just extremely heavy snow in northern Milwaukee, as they'll get hit the most outside of Canada in the United States. And then I would say the snow would eventually end probably right around just around sunset at around 7-8 p.m. And then by Sunday, you guys should be completely in the clear. So pretty much from the hours between right now and like 6 p.m., you should just stay indoors throughout in northern Michigan. And this also goes for the Milwaukee area, where you could experience a lot of snow, and even more places within this trajectory. So in terms of the total snowfall forecast to expect throughout the Midwest additional snowfall, you see that up to a foot of snow is likely over northern Michigan, and we're even seeing portions of 12 to 8 inches in a couple areas, as I wouldn't be surprised if you could see localized areas with up to 18 inches of snow, and that's just major snowstorm territory. And you guys definitely need to stay inside today, because those snowfall rates will be insane to say the least. And 3 to 5 inches in Madison, Wisconsin, but you're bordering 5 to 8, so you could see up to 8 inches, and then and then 3 to 5 and even 5 to 8 just south of Des Moines. So watch out for that throughout these areas for a big snowstorm. And this snow extends to Maine, where you could see up to 8 inches of snow in Caribou, Maine, and 3 to 5 just south of that. So definitely keep that in mind. Just stay indoors, stay safe, and make sure you get those shovels ready, because it's going to be a long weekend for you guys, to say least, who are experiencing a snowstorm. And outside the Midwest snowstorm, outside the potential nor'easter that could occur, there could be another snowstorm that'll bring snow not only to Rocky Mountain ranges and maybe Oklahoma City, but also extending to the northeast later during the week, as we're starting to see this trend from the GFS now leaning towards bringing moisture and maybe a little bit of snow in the higher elevations of the northeast. So if we take a look back at around the 66-hour mark, which is approximately almost 3 days from now, you see that the low pressure, like in the previous runs, this well, first let me go back. So you see that this low pressure system, this is not the potential nor'easter I was talking about earlier. This is the one that comes before the nor'easter comes. So you see it brings snow throughout the Rocky Mountain ranges, and then Oklahoma City as well could experience snow. So watch out throughout the Rocky Mountain ranges, and especially the Cascades there during the week. However, as this low pressure system moves, you could see some snow in the northeast to watch out for. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of like surprise snowstorm out of nowhere, if just enough cold air gets far south enough to change that rain over the snow. So watch out for that in the northeast going into around the Monday to Tuesday time frame, where you could maybe experience some precipitation in the form of snow and even rain. However, there's still that possibility this could stay just far enough offshore, but there is also that possibility you will experience snow in the northeast. So watch out for that as well. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this content. Make sure to like if you like this video. I hope you guys have a good day, good night, and good afternoon whenever you're watching this.